it's going to turn things around when we get some God in our heart and in our mind. See, we done tried long enough to do it by law and legislation. The law going to only be for those that in control over it. Those that have the say over the law. See, all a law is a decree. It's a set of rules that you man get together and he come up with them to govern his society. But if the one that governs his society is wicked and evil and unfair, unjust, every rule that he write gonna be unfair and unjust. It's gonna be self-serving. But see, we have a fair God, a just God, a righteous God that is not a self-serving God. He is a God that put your needs before everything. When he come up with the Sabbath day, and it was for man to rest, but you had some of them wanted to rule over the people, say, you can't do nothing on the Sabbath day. I don't care what it is. And then Jesus had to say, well, the Sabbath day was made for man. Man is the Lord over the Sabbath day, or the master over the Sabbath day. It was for man. Everything we had was for man. But when sin took place, it brought confusion and chaos. It brought unrest in the world, in the garden, in society. And because of unrest came, slavery came, conquer came. And they came to mark their territory. And they came to rule their people to be the greater people. You done had that ever since I've been in the world. And we will have it till Jesus come back. But the gospel of the kingdom will give you true peace, give you true deliverance, give you true hope. The hope is in God. Every time the Native American tell you, every time they come up with a treaty and they reason with the invaders that came here and eventually took their land and put them on reservation, they'll reason with them. They'll talk knowledge with them. And they come to a agreement, a conclusion. But what the Native American did not understand was, before one ship left England or left the New World, whether it was Spain or England, before one ship came over here, they had determined to conquer the land set before them and rule it and take its riches to support their kingdom. This was established in the people's mind even before the first person set foot on the American soil, on the Indian soil. And no matter what kind of treaty they came up with, what kind of alliance they came up with, it was just one thing in the mind of the invader was to conquer. Now, when the Pilgrim came here and landed at Pilgrim Rock, the Mayflower, those people really came looking for a new way to give them up honor the heavy hand of the king so they could have freedom of religion. But what they did not understand was if the English king ordained and paid for them getting here and gave them permission to come, they were actually coming in the name of the power that be. They didn't understand that at the time. They thought they were coming over here and they were going to have a freedom of religion. So what they did, the first Thanksgiving, the Indian, the Native America, helped them survive. And by them helping them survive, they come up with Thanksgiving. They had a feast at the end of the year, the harvest, end of the harvest. And they blessed it and they thanked God for these Native Americans helping them to survive. They were sharing with each other, teaching each other knowledge. But you had a power that was greater than the pilgrim that came on the Mayflower. And their whole intention from day one was to get over here and establish some kind of dialogue and take this country, take this nation. I seen a picture, they say it took, it says 60 year wall or 60, I think it says 60 something wall. But it actually was 400 years before they could conquer the Indian in this land and subdue this land. And that's what a conqueror will do. The devil comes to conquer your soul, to destroy your soul. That's his only motive. That's his only aim. It is not to see you blessed. It is not to see your body well. It is not to see your mind well. It is not to see you full of hope and living free from oppression. But his whole aim, the devil, and the power that be, or the supernatural power that be, is to destroy you, mind, body, soul, and spirit. It is to steal, kill, and destroy everything of value to you, and subdue you, and rule over you while you have life in this in this world, in this earth, and to corrupt everything that it can corrupt. The devil wanted to show God that your way is not as good as you thought it was. But if you give me a chance, I'll show you that man will choose wicked and corruption every time over what you wanted them to do. But God got some people, no matter what goes or comes, that they will not yield to the power of the enemy. They will not subdue to the power of this world. And they are the people that stand up and protest and march and get a life to see all men free. It ain't a race thing. You have people of every race and die for people of every race to see them free. When they made this country and brought slavery and brought souls over here in change, those that ordained it to be so knew it was wrong from the door. They understood that you had some of the slave that came here. When you put them here on this continent, were able to be a king, able to have government and government the land that they were walking upon. Because they came from kings and rulers. They came from lawmakers and lawgivers. They came from people of wisdom and knowledge and integrity. But they fed their people that would listen to them. They used propaganda and felt their heart and mind that these people are less than you are. They're not as equipped to learn and to understand as you are. See, that was a big lie, and still is a big lie, to keep people fighting among each other. And they have a mixed feeling and don't know which way to take. But what cleared it up for them is they can get provision and they can prosper. Their family can prosper. It's going to always go back to the money thing. It's going to always go back to provision. It's going to always go back to having the necessity of life. He that owned the bread and control the bread and the water, control the way humanity grows, control the way man prosper and what man do. That's why you have people want to control, so you can come to them. Excuse me. People say, well, what we need to do? You done had people come to this country, black and all, that were brought here to serve. Wonder what could they do to change things. And they didn't understand how you change things. You change things when you become self-sufficient and you don't have to rely on another nation to give you bread. When you don't have to rely on another people to feed your people. In this country, the minority, or in this country, the minority is looking to the leader of this country to provide for their family. A lot of them run away from their country because they don't have any freedom and any hope. And they come to this country hoping that they can get a better life for their family. So they depending on those that rule this country to be merciful to them and to show them mercy. And they just back going to do whatever they want them to do, so their family won't have to be in as dire poverty as they are in other countries. When the first European came here, they were looking for wealth. They were looking for a way to sustain their people in the fur land, because they had used all of their material, all their lumber. They had fished all their screens out. They had used all their gold. Everything they had was depleted. That's why they came here, looking for material and finance to further their existence and to further their empire. And when they came here and established an empire, they ruled here, but their money went back. Till you had a few of them said, look, it ain't fair for us to give King James everything, and he taxing everything, and the good they give us over here is not, it's third class good, and we making them wealthy. So they staged a rebellion. They throw the little tea in the ocean, and they had the Tea Party. Then they had the Revolutionary War. But you know the American and England, they had their dispute, but they still like mother and son. They still believed in the same thing. They still colonized people. They still did that when this country got up on its feet. And they still bought slaves from Africa, which at that time, the mother country, England, had control over Africa, or over most of Africa. And if it wasn't them, it was Holland or the Dutch people. And the one that first started slavery, and the Vikings that did a lot of conquering, they even conquered the English people and came in and inbred with them. And that's what you do when you conquer people. You inbreed with them, and you assimilate together and become one. But they still, with their idea of superiority, conquering, they still got that same thing in their mind. You had, they sent Christians throughout the world to go to other land and make Christian out of people for Jesus Christ. But when they seen the wealth of these land, when they seen the wealth of Africa, when they seen the wealth of Australia, when they seen the wealth of Japan, when they seen the wealth of China, then they begin to undermine the people so they can come in and conquer them, so they can have the riches. You had the knights, when they took Jerusalem, they saying they were taking it for the kingdom of God, but they were taking it for wealth. They conquered those people. They started walls and fought walls over gold, over treasure. It wasn't for the colonize the kingdom of God, to win souls for the kingdom of God. And we have to be careful with that today in our society. When we talk about going all over the world, preach, is your heart right? Do you really want to see people deliver, or are you trying to get money in your pocket? Are you trying to come up and be self-sufficient in a way that you can subdue people and you won't have to have nothing for anybody else? What is the cause of that for you? What will you do for that? That's what you have to be careful of. The gospel of the kingdom, if we preach it as Jesus gave it to us, as the apostle gave it to us, and if we keep it sanctified and keep it pure, people can prosper and be delivered and be set free. But if we join in with people that have the wrong intention and thinking because we joining in with them, they're going to bless our folk. They're going to bless our family. But they're never going to accept you as one of them because you're not one of them. You don't even have the mind frame that they have. Their mind is riches, is wealth. Well, go back and look at every conqueror. You name it. You take your pick. And you go back now and read the history of them and see what happened to them. See what kind of peril they fell into. See what kind of thing that plagued their society. It was greed, adultery, homosexuality, and ungodliness. And it plagued every one of their society. I don't care if the Greeks started with the democratic thing, a republic, the Roman, but their whole aim was to rule over people for wealth, to be somebody, for they linen to be great, for the Caesars to be great, for the emperor of Rome to be great, for the pharaoh to be great. They were only concerned about their lineage. You seen how the great pharaoh built the pyramid. They plundered nations to get wealth and lay it up. The Swedish people, the Dutch, and they wanted the wealthy country on the face of the earth. But they got their wealth by conquering and taking and killing and enslaving people. Now they doing some good, but they still ruling over people and taking from people. You say, well, we're going to start the gospel of the kingdom when we preach it with love and power, with authority. When we stand for God and don't move, don't turn, don't back up. We usually use God till we get in the door. And when we get in the door, then we don't need God no more. You can get some of the people, the most compassionate people in the world. And when they make their fortune and God smile on them, they turn their back on God. They're not as concerned about justice and fair and equality. Look at the Jewish people. God set them apart to be a different nation. A nation to reverend God. But as soon as they made their fortune, and they were blessed and had their tingly jewelry on, their neck jewelry, their leg jewelry, then they forgot about God just like every other nation. Because all men come from one man. You have the same heartbeat that any other man have. The same desire. The same genetic makeup that any other man do. Natural or spiritually. And what one can come subject to, the other one can come subject to it. If one can sin and kill and plunder, the other have the ability to do it. Because you have the same genetic makeup as the other one. It's no different. It's no verification. It's the same. What makes it different is who you obey, who you pledge your loyalty to, and what you allow yourself to take in your heart. What teachings govern you. If the teaching of Christ governing you, you're going to be a peaceful people. You're going to be a fair people. You're going to be a righteous people. You're going to be a people that teaches hope. You're going to be a people that will give your life to see hope, to see righteousness, to see man free. I urge you to listen. We worried about the evil in this earth. Let's spend some time with God. You say, well, no, just talking ain't going to do no good. If you get the mind of Jesus, if you get the heart of Jesus, then he will direct you and it'll work. It'll bring peace. Every time you get a man, get a leader, I don't care what generation they've been, even a religious leader, when he stand up and he proclaim righteousness and freedom and fair play, that nation, that society be blessed. They increase in knowledge, they increase in material, they increase in understanding, and they increase in love. And they prosper and they build and other people prosper. It is not right for me to do all the prospering, have all the food for Thanksgiving, have all the money, have everything I need, 3 or 4 cars, and my neighbors don't have anything, and I don't do anything to help him. You got people sing the blues, sing rock and roll. You got people that make movies and sell their soul, and they become rich. And they got all this money. What they gonna do with it? Their heart not right. Their mind ain't right. Well, they gonna put it in what they know, what they believe in. They gonna support who they are. And if they unjust, if they immoral, then what they gonna support with their money? And you mean to tell me the righteous people don't need to prosper? The people of God, the peacemaker, don't need to prosper. The people that done vowed to God and that done sold out to God, you mean to tell me they don't need to prosper? And they don't need their voice heard? We want to give our heart, mind, and soul to God. And God can change things, he can turn things around. And he can deliver those you love. Put them in the hand of God. Trust God. Believe in God and live your life for God. And God will change everything around. We have history on this. This is not just a pipe dream. This is not something just a few people done said. Anytime you get the righteous in control, things changes.